How you gonna keep them away from Broadway, dancing around and painting the town? How you gonna keep them away from harm? That's the mystery. They'll never want to see a rake or plow, and who's a deuce and parlez-vous a cow? How you gonna keep them down on the farm after they've seen Paris?
They played French and American marches, plantation melodies, and the song Europe had made famous, the Memphis Blues.
With a soul-rousing crash of cymbals, cornet and clarinet players began to manipulate notes in that typical rhythm which no artist has ever put down on paper. Then, as the drummers struck their stride, their shoulders shaking in time, the audience could stand it no longer. The jazz germ hit them, and it seemed to find the vital spot, loosening all muscles and causing what is known in American as an eagle rocking it. And I am satisfied that American music will one day be the world's music. Private Noble Cecil.
French and British band leaders were convinced that Europe's men were using trick instruments. Otherwise, they said, such sounds were not possible. James Reese Europe had big plans for peacetime. To merge jazz and ragtime into a wholly new kind of African-American music. We won France by playing music which was ours and not a pale imitation of others, he said. And if we are to develop in America, we must develop along our own lines.
They were called doughboys. Then, as now, no one was exactly sure why. Like the name, their heroic deeds fade from memory. People and places etched in 1,000 local memorials across our nation. Seen, but seldom noticed. Faded monuments to a war that changed everything. The doughboys named it the show. We call it World War I. In less than 2 years, some 4 million Americans would join the armed forces, many of them volunteers. In just 6 months of decisive combat, more would die than in a decade of war in Korea and Vietnam combined, with a higher casualty rate than World War II. The nation would never be the same. April 1917. The United States enters the Great War. For 2.5 years, France and Great Britain have been deadlocked in an epic struggle with Imperial Germany. Millions are dead. Democracy threatened. Can America make the difference? The U.S. military has war plans, but none include shipping millions of men across the Atlantic. Few troops have ever seen combat. The country that invented the airplane has but few, all obsolete. No tanks, no gas masks. Worst of all, the War Department hasn't mandated the study of trench warfare. This education must be paid in blood. Nonetheless, the nation would mobilize and monetize a stunning effort. In just 2 years, the American government would spend almost as much money as it had in its entire history prior to the war. An 8-fold increase in steel shipyards, more than 2 million new industrial workers, and Rosie the Riveter had a mother. Women became a major presence in the workforce, joined the armed services for the first time, and would have the vote a year later. Doughboys would come from every walk of life and all ethnicities. A resolute wave of African Americans, Native Americans, new immigrants, raw-boned farmhands. Lafayette, we are here. The American Expeditionary Forces, and so timely. Americans entered the front lines in January 1918. These were warriors, frontline troops. 2/3 of the AEF saw action, an amazing percentage. They would fight 13 key battles, with names engraved in the American memory. Cantigny, the Belleau Wood, the Soissons, Saint-Méliel, and the Meuse-Argonne, where 250,000 doughboys led the first assault wave. Vanguard of more than 1 million. No one on either side anticipated how quickly the Americans would arrive, engage, and decisively impact the war. An armistice was signed at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918. American power had stopped the killing. Liberty must always be defended, strengthened, and cherished. Millions of Americans served this cause. 116,516 doughboys made the ultimate sacrifice.